In this training video, I will show you how to create a new message and send it to another repository user or users. Then we will review the sent message and then look at any received messages. I'm currently logged in as a contributor in the repository. To get to the Messages section, I go to the left menu bar of the home page, come down to the Messages module, click on it, and then the three submodules Received Messages, Sent Messages, and New Message appear. What I need to do in order to create a new message is click New Message. And what it does is it brings up the New Message page. A new message is not valid warning appears, but that's because it wants me to key something into the subject section below and also add the intended recipients. The subject field down below I'll add in a moment, but let's go ahead and include the recipients here on the left side. Where it says no data available, it's because I need to choose names from the right and have them appear here on the left. And that means that the ones I choose from the right and then appear on the left will then receive the message. So let's go ahead and choose two. If I click on Jean, she'll go from the right column to the left. That means that she will receive the message. Also, if I click on Suhani, if I click from the right to the left, it'll appear. If I wish to suddenly not send to either of them, I can click the purple Remove All button, and their names will go back to the right column. Let's say I decide I want to send the message to everyone within my agency. All I need to do is click the Add All button, and then all of those names will go from the right to the left. That means that all of these recipients will receive the message. And again, if I decide I don't want to send to the entire agency, I can click Remove All, and those names will go back to the right column. There's another way to search for a user. You can come up into this search box here, and you can enter the person's name. So for example, if I put in an SH, I have these options here, and I can click on whichever person I wish to send it to. Or again, I can remove it by clicking the back arrow. So now let's go ahead and let's put in two names that we're going to send the message to. So let's go back to Jean and include her, and also Suhani. So now these are the two included recipients, and they'll receive my message. To get to the Messages section, I just need to come over here to the right, click the left button on my mouse, and then pull down and drag this gray scroll bar. Now the message field is more visible. I can put in my subject area here, and then that way I can go ahead and formulate the message. So let's go ahead and do that now. So I've created the subject New SRS Report Due Soon. I have the priority section here where I can actually decide what priority this message is. So if I click the down arrow, my options are low, normal, high, urgent, and unknown. So I'm going to go ahead and click on high because it's important. And then I can formulate my message down here. Okay, so I've now created this, and I'm asking them to submit the new SRS report by end of business tomorrow, and then I tell them what I'm working on. Now I can go in and I can actually do some formatting of this information. I can click the Format button, and it gives me the option to put in headings. I can put in bold, italicized, underline, strike through, superscript, subscript, so on and so forth. Or I can go to the right here and I can click on bold. So let's say I'm going to need to bold end of business tomorrow, so I just highlight it and then click the bold. Now that information is bolded. Let's say I want to italicize my name. I just click on it and click the italic symbol here, and it changes it to italic. Very, very similar to how you can format within other desktop publishing like Word and that sort of thing. You can also click on this Align Left, Align Center, Align Right, and Justify. So for example, if I highlight everything, and right now everything's aligned left, but if I click on Align Center, it moves my message to the middle. If I click on Align Right, it moves it to the right. Or I can click on Justify and it brings it back. Again, I can put in bullet lists and numbered lists as well. So if I click on this, I can put in a bullet list here. So if I click on that, and I click on it again, I can then continue with that or move on. And then again, there's a numbered list capability as well, where I can do the default, which is 1, 2, 3, or I can turn it to alpha or Greek or Roman numerals, so on and so forth. I can increase and decrease my message by clicking on this, highlight it first, and then decrease indent would go back to the left, or increase would go to the right. I also have the option of inserting and editing links by clicking on this. So now my message is ready to go, and all I need to do is click on Send. If I click on that, the message will go out to both Suhani and to Jean, and you can tell that by looking at the Sent Messages box here. And it shows that Jean and Suhani had the message sent to them. It gives the date and time stamp here under the Sent Date column. It shows my priority of high, and it shows the subject line, so new SRS report due soon. And then I can click on the arrow here to the right and I can actually read the message that I sent out. The nice thing about this is not only can I see the message I sent, but it also shows the message recipients down below. And it shows me not only that their names are here and what agency they're with, but it also shows whether they have read the message or not. So this would say read if in fact Jean had read her message. For now, neither one has read the message. So now I'm going to click on Return to take me back, or if I am done with this message and I want to get rid of it, I can click on the green Delete button. For now, let's click on the purple Return. Again, this takes me back, and if I have many pages of sent messages, I can actually come up to the Search Criteria box and put in the recipient name, or I can search by priority, or I can search by a specific date, and maybe a subject line. So for example, if I wanted to search for a recipient, and I click on Jean, it brings up the one that I just sent. If I wipe it out, and let's say I change the priority where I just wanted to bring up the ones that are normal, and I click Search, it brings up the messages that were sent that were under the normal priority level. So it's easy to find the messages that you've sent before. Then just click on this arrow here to collapse the messages, and then to move back I can go over here to Messages and click on that. So over here on the Messages side, we've looked at sending a new message, and now we've looked at sent messages. Now let's look at received messages. There's two ways to go about that. We can click on Received Messages from the left menu bar here, or we can go up here to the upper right where there's an envelope. And this shows me that I have a message waiting to be read, and then number 1 is here. So I can look at it in two different ways. I can click on this, and it actually gives me a drop down and it shows the message. It gives me the subject line, and it shows me who the sender was. It also gives the date and time stamp. And if I have other messages, I could click on here and I would see multiple messages come up. In this case, it's just the one. So it looks like it's not here, but all I need to do is click on Search, and then the message shows up here. So the person who sent me a message was I'm a trainer. The date received is here, the priority is here, and the subject line is here, repository training, and it's all in bold. Now I can review this by clicking on the arrow here. So let's go ahead and do that. And now I can go ahead and read the message. So what I can do now is I can click it as marked as new, meaning I don't really have time to look at it and read it and absorb it. So I'm going to click it as marked as new and I can look at it later, or I can delete it if I'm done with the message, or I can click return. So I'm going to click return. Now I also, if you notice over here, it's jumped to receive messages in the left menu bar. If I were wanting to see if I had any messages, let's say I go back to the home page, I can also click on the messages module again, and I can click on received messages. And again, that brings me back in. So there's two ways to see received messages. I can either go to the left menu bar, or I can go up here to the upper right where the little envelope is. If you see it jiggle up and down, that means that there's something for you to review. In this case, we've already reviewed it, so there's nothing there. That's why there's a 0 now instead of a 1. And obviously there's alerts waiting for me, but I haven't looked at those just yet. So that's why it was jumping up and down. So again, it shows me that I have a message that is from I'm a trainer, and if I wish to review it, I can click the blue arrow. So that is how I can review a message. So I'm going to return again. So again, messages is very simple. It's just click on messages here and then the 3 submodules here. So new message is how to create a message. You put in your message information here and you send it down below. Sent messages would be ones that I've sent previously, and I can search for them in the search criteria up here, and then click the green search button to find a specific sent message. Or I can click on received messages, and that's where I go and find messages that have been sent to me. One other thing about messages, you can actually set up your profile to receive these messages outside of the repository. So if you click on your name up here in the upper right hand corner and then click profile, you can look in the communication preferences section here, and if the toggle switch says for email messages, if it's clicked to yes, then that means that you will receive messages to your email address at work. And this is handy if you're not logged into the repository, but you still wish to monitor messages from your work email address. If the switch is clicked to no, then you will not receive any messages to your email. So this is something that you can decide whether you're going to receive messages outside of the repository as well as inside. So that is what you do. You click on that. There's also a way to save your profile here by clicking the green Save My Profile, so if you make any changes, it'll be saved. And so this concludes this repository training video on creating, sending, and reviewing a sent message and reviewing a received message.